He does all of the global social media, etc. And he's a really nice guy. So today he's going to do us a talk, glass box therapy. Over to you, Jay.
So my name, thank you, Jordy. So my name is Jason. Sometimes I do go by Jay. First off, thank you to everyone for showing up, having me here. Glass box therapy, how aquariums gave me purpose. It's not going to be a seminar to teach you how to find your own purpose. I'm going to take you along with some very personal things that you're going to learn about me that nobody has ever known outside of my family. But I believe it gives us the ability to find exactly what it is we need in life, and that's balance, through a passion. So, that big-headed kid is me with the 3 stripes, my father, my mother, my sister, and me. I was born Christmas of 1983, so you could say I was God's gift to the world in '83, but that wasn't always the case. I absolutely adored aquatic animals. I loved lizards, salamanders, reptiles, but a big piece for me is I had this silly goldfish that I won at a carnival, and I had him for 9 years. And I microwaved the water to get it to temperature, and he still lived 9 years. Knowing what I know now, he probably would have made it 15, 20 years if I wasn't sucking oxygen out. But growing up, my parents were drug and alcohol addicted. My dad was in rehab for 6 months. My mom would go off for months at a time on a binge, but I still had a childhood, and I still thought that life was good. You're a kid, right? Nothing's really that bad.
Sorted cans of flavors, like,
but as I grew up, got into high school, I had multiple jobs. Gymnastics. Never did a day of gymnastics in my life. I was a waiter. I worked with my dad during the summers the best as I could, but I needed to get out. Right? We all got to make a jump. We have to figure out what we're doing in life, and I had to go. So that sexy man is me. This is my high school graduation photo. Of course, that is me. And a little known fact is I hold a couple of state records in Connecticut and the United States for running because it was an outlet for me. So in life, when things are going rough, we always try to find an outlet. Hopefully it's not anything that's highly addictive or detracting from the good parts of life. And I just happen to enjoy running. That was my detachment from reality. Acid wash jeans, hula hooping, a ridiculous haircut, and a graduating 17-year-old who graduated with a 1.67, which means I basically paid my teachers to let me graduate high school. Not very good. Don't recommend it. But one thing I did learn growing up was we bend, but we should never break. And the bending could apply to anything. We sometimes bend rules, we sometimes bend the way we think about things, but we should never break completely, fall apart, detract, and there's reasons for that. It's always harder to come back from a break than it is from just a bend. And I learned this from a drill instructor when I joined the US Navy in 2001. That was that was the catalyst to my life, because all I knew was drugs and alcohol, which I never did, but my parents were just, that was their hobby, so to speak. Not a good hobby, so if you're doing it, stop. But I learned this from a pretty cool drill instructor when I first started. And in 2001, I went to Chicago for training, got out of training, and all I wrote down on the paper was, I want to go the farthest I can away from home. But what drove me to the military were 2 things. September 11th affects people differently all around the world. That was one reason. The other reason is I thought I was going to get really rich. I was going to save all my money, buy the cool cars, do all the cool things, because that was what I thought was the great life. The money, the coolness, the cars. You don't get rich in the military, by the way. Never. But I grew a lot. This is how I learned different things in life, different cultures, connecting to different human beings, started to find my purpose in life. Whether it doesn't look very happy, I still got to connect, learn different customs and cultures, meet folks like you that I've never met before, and grow as a human being for myself. That was 10 full years of active duty, and I would probably say that they were the best natural 10 years of my life. Because at 17, you're at the point where you can grow at any which way. You can become a horrible human being, good human being, or right down the middle, and figure out a way to balance it all. And that's kind of what this whole thing is balance. So if you ever wanted to know what Christmas is like in Afghanistan, that's it. It's just a Christmas tree, no family, no friends. So you're kind of going through life with no purpose per se, no balance, no friendships, no real relationships. This is actually a British Special Forces operator, and that is my Jason Bourne mugshot, because my final job in the military was a counterterrorism agent. So I spent the last 8.5 years in the US military in over 40 plus countries, ultimately seeking out bad people that were doing bad things. But at the same time, I still have a smile on my face. I still love every minute of what I did because I felt like I was doing something good, right? And we all want to do something good. Something. Every day we wake up, we want to do something good. This Fijian family here, I don't know any of them. I was taking a photo on a trip headed to the airport, and this is where I learned that we need humans in the world. We need to be able to connect with people. I believe this lady right here was trying to get a visa to America, but the rest of the family just handed me children, invited me for dinner. I ended up missing my flight, taking another flight, finding my way back home, because that was an opportunity that essentially changed my life. I met people that didn't even have doors on their home, but they were happy. They were doing what it is they loved, and it was being with family. And they appeared to have balance, and they could procreate pretty well as well. That gentleman up there took a lot of my money so he can tell me I was lost on the Iraq border. And then I have no idea what I was doing there, but I figured, whatever, put that photo in. But a big piece of this was through the 7 concussions, through basically trying not to die. I disconnected from my family, I was focusing on myself, and I realized that nothing in life can hurt me if I don't allow it to. If I don't allow it to, nothing can hurt me. And it's a self-talk that I still to this day use. Somebody can make fun of you, somebody can talk about you. Who the hell cares? Is it really affecting you? It's not. But I was still lost. I had no balance in life. My purpose was the military, and it was taken from me. So it's like every time you find something that you love so much, it gets taken from you. That doesn't look like me. I was about 209 pounds. That doesn't look like me. I look, I mean, it's bad. But when I got out of the military, I had to go see a doctor. Now, everybody deals with things differently. PTSD. Matter of fact, I had some great conversations last night regarding this topic, but things affect people differently. And for me, it wasn't the concussions, the PTSD, it wasn't the detachment from life, it wasn't any of that. I couldn't keep my mind focused because I was always trying to please somebody else. I was always being somebody else that I wasn't. And the idea was, I'll be somebody different that they want because it's better if they're happy and I'm not. And I did that my whole damn life. It's not good. But this doctor said, you better get a hobby or you're going to be not in a good space. We can give you all the drugs, we can give you all the therapies, but at the end of the day, you have to find a hobby. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I had a little goldfish and a little small community style tank before, nothing crazy, didn't think it was going to be anything life-changing. And the doctor sat there and said, you can golf, you can go bowling, chess league, have an aquarium. They're usually relaxing. For those of us here, they're not that relaxing all the time, fidgeting with them. But I started a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel was, again, what I thought was for me. That's what I started it for. I'm going to keep my mind away from all of the bad. I was in a relationship. I thought everything was good for myself, but I was never taking care of myself. I was never focusing on my passions. If you wanted to go do something, we did it with you because that would make you feel good, and I thought it would make me feel good. I was in a dark place. I can say publicly that I've never thought about committing suicide, but I always wanted to disappear, drive somewhere, start a new life, detach from everything. And it's because I didn't have a balanced relationship with who I was in life with. I didn't have balanced friendships. I didn't even have really any purpose of what I was supposed to be doing. And purpose could line with determination to get somewhere, but it's ultimately what you're in a situation and you believe that is what you're supposed to do. And if you find that, I heard it's like super powerful. When you are living in your purpose, it's super powerful. One of the biggest setbacks for me here was I was in this relationship, I was married, and the tough part about it was I couldn't be a father. We couldn't have children naturally. Not my fault, doesn't matter, but either way, we couldn't have a child naturally. So I tried everything. Maybe we should adopt, maybe we should foster children, everything under the sun. But no matter what I did, I couldn't make anybody happy with my decision of what I wanted to do to be a father. And I thought, maybe if I'm a dad, and is there anybody in here who's has more than one child? It's freaking amazing. It's a pain in the ass sometimes, but it's still amazing. And I thought that would change my life. But not being able to do it naturally, a doctor said it's going to cost you $50,000 US dollars. I don't have 50,000 US dollars. I really don't have a good job. I worked for AT&T. Matter of fact, I was talking to Ian from ALF on this trip, and he's like, how many jobs have you had? And we went over them, and there were quite a few, let's put it that way. And it was because I wasn't happy. I was always trying to change myself for somebody else, but never was myself and what I was doing. So I wasn't even me. There was zero authenticity to myself. So I decided that if we were going to have a child, that I was going to have to start a business and sell fish food. You don't get rich off of fish food, just letting you know. But you do make enough to have a child, potentially. So when I was on YouTube starting to try to find my outlet, to try to find my space, I watched a lot. This is the first video that I ever posted. So I got on YouTube 2011. A couple years in, I was dedicated freshwater. And I don't know if you can hear my voice, but let's see. No, you're not going to hear my voice. So this is a plug for you to go to my YouTube channel at some point. Basically, it sounds like this. What up, everyone? My name's Jay. I'm repping OKC, Oklahoma. Check out my fish tank. It wasn't me. I'm not. This is not an exaggeration. Go back and that's the headline video. That was my first video, and from there catapulted a passion for me. I was able then to call up any company and say, could I have XYZ so that I can raise money and then donate it to charity? So I thought, well, I help other people, I'm going to feel better about myself. And pallets would show up to my house. I was able to do giveaways and contests raise money for children's homes, give back to, you know, boys' homes. There's a video on YouTube of me walking through Walmart and some of our big box retailers getting presents for kids at 3 in the morning so that we can deliver them from folks that were watching videos, supporters, friends. It was simply amazing. Now this tank right here, this is why I was not allowed to aquascape at this event, because I would have crushed it. That right there was my first take at a semi-natural tank, beautiful plastic plants. But it was my passion, it was my escape from the shit reality that I was living in. But that picture is where I'm able to remove myself from pretty much anything in life. If I'm underwater, staring at an aquarium, there is just something about it that allows me to escape. It's my drug. Is it addictive? Yeah. Is it bad? Depends on if your spouse or not appreciates what you do. But that logo there is the business that I created. So what you see is the first, I mean, I can go toe-to-toe with George Farmer with this tank, I believe. But that was me then. This is me in the middle, and this is a business that I created. I now started 2015. I'm working about 17 hours a day, full-time job, 2 videos a week on YouTube, because what? We're gonna make it rich. That one video is gonna make us rich. And then I had a business that I would come home to answer customer service questions, mail out boxes, but nobody was helping me. Not because they didn't want to, it's because I didn't ask. I didn't communicate to anybody. I was doing it because if I can get the money and we could be a happy family and have a child, then I would be the best living human being of all time. I was creating products. I designed that artificial background, those artificial rocks. I designed that background, artificial rocks. I was creating products. I was getting money from aquarium companies in 2013, 14, 15. And I think I had like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I thought that I had I hit it big and something great was gonna happen, and then everybody talks, you should be happy. You should be happy. You've got the great house, the great tank. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know how hard you're working for anything. They just see superficially what it is. But nobody would ever check on me because I wouldn't tell them. I'm going to do what I'm going to do to make you happy, not me. Those fish up there were the first fish that I ever bought for YouTube. I still have them to this day. I think it's 11 years. Those Synodontis catfish are still cruising around in a 6-foot tank after many, many moves and many tank changes. But this quote, and you can interchange it with whatever you want, but every man, every human has 2 lives. The second one starts when you realize that you only have one. And a big piece was, I never did anything for myself. Again, it was for everybody. But I had my passion, which was aquariums. I was detached, and I thought that if I continued these YouTube videos, folks that would send me letters and comments saying, thank you, you helped save my life, because there are motivational pieces to my YouTube videos if you ever get bored and want to watch them. So this next part of my life was, I was starting to realize what my purpose was, but I still didn't feel happy. I still didn't feel like I was doing anything. I was working in this industry. I fought like hell to become a father, but I was crashing deeper into a dark space. I went to all these US-based trade shows. People would come up to me, thank you, I watch your videos, this is so cool. It was so uncomfortable for me because it wasn't me. None of it was really me. I never could feel like me. And just be you in life. Who cares what people think? Just be you. And I can tell you that US trade shows are fun, they're great, lots of people. As a manufacturer, maybe it's not the best place all the time because you don't sell as much as you probably should. But it's a great place to meet people. And if you ever get a chance, actually, I would love to show you around some of these trade shows. And I honestly mean that. So, in 2017, we had my son. I worked like fucking hell to have him. And I continued doing the shit that I did because he was happy. I mean, I don't know what kind of beard trim that was. I feel like a 90s R&B star. But he was truly happy, right? Most kids they're genuinely happy. They don't know what's happening. But he was my driving force. I was creating products with a company called Universal Rocks. They used to be out of Australia, but now they're based out of Dallas, Texas. And I still had my Synodonis catfish. I have both of them. She's just not in the photo there. I thought, you know what? If I'm going to be happy, my son's going to be a part of my passion. Don't ever force anybody to like what you like, ever. It doesn't work. But him and his little chicken thighs were helping me do water changes, setting up aquariums. I had the best life. I was now a dad. I was still doing things for everybody. And then I got to meet somebody who inspired me to continue keeping African cichlids. That's Odd Konings. He's written quite a few books. An amazing speaker, genuine human being. But I thought that meeting him was going to be that connection piece I needed. I had hyped the event in my head just like we always do. And not that he let me down. Again, I was just letting myself down over and over again. You know, I would break down aquariums, set up aquariums because it was my passion. It was supposed to be great. And still wasn't right. Went back to the doctor, entered the hospital, didn't stay very long, but they just kept saying, you got a job? You got some medication? You'll be okay. Are you ever really okay like that? No. I thought I was great. I mean, I think that's not a bad looking aquarium. What do you think? I win. Trophy? Yeah. All of it's fake. Yeah. All of it's fake, clearly except the fish and the wood. There's actually, I think there's some live plants there, but I created the background. I created the river stone. I was just lost in space while everybody else orbited around me when I was doing this stuff. And then another stage in my life happened, and it was keeping vivariums. So it was leaving aquariums to start something different because I thought that my YouTube channel is not doing good. I'm not making enough money. My wife at the time, my son, I needed to keep providing for them. So I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to work even harder for them so that they're happy. But I wasn't. And you really only have three choices in any situation. You give up, you can give in, or you can give it all you got. And I can tell you that not just one of those will ever fit. Sometimes you have to give it all you got, and sometimes you have to pack that shit in and head in a different direction. But I didn't know how to do any of those things, except give it all you got for somebody else. I do not have an OnlyFans, it's a joke. I was raising money for charity. Somebody had put a bunch of us in a calendar. But
I'd subscribe.
You subscribe?
I would.
Done. So in 2019 to current, I started to hone into a few things. And it wasn't because I had an epiphany. It wasn't because any special prescription drug or therapy. It was actually somebody that I didn't even know was a friend. Gave me some information. And I had a big life change disruption. I was going through a divorce, and I was losing custody of somebody that I worked so hard to bring into this world. And that was probably one of the hardest things I went through because I detached completely from YouTube, friendships, other relationships, family, work I was not excelling at very well. I was ready to just seriously give up everything. I had no purpose. My authenticity to myself was empty. I had no fuel left in it. And I thought that I was losing my passion in aquariums. So I was like, I'll just go back to security. I was a cop before. I worked at AT&T before, a cellular company. I'll just go back to doing something like that. But I'm here to tell you that you actually don't lose a passion. You don't get burned out by a passion. You get distracted from the passion, from all of the shit that happens in life. And we're so focused on the shit instead of what we're supposed to be focusing in on that we allow that storm to just completely derail us. And that's what I had done. And in 2019, I was at a show called the Aquatic Experience. It's no longer around, but this guy came up to me and I actually thought he was gonna beat me up. He was a large dude, about 6'4". He said, hey, I gotta talk to you. And he pulled me aside and he said, when are you gonna start doing stuff that you wanna do? When are you gonna start doing things that make you happy? Do things that make you happy, but they don't hurt anybody else. What's the harm in that? I never let that click in my head. But this guy who I'd never met before, who just watched me from a distance, could see that all I needed to be told was that. Because it clicked. Why am I not doing stuff for myself? I can still do stuff for other people at the same time. And this is where I started to become authentically myself. I stopped doing things for everybody else that didn't provide my life balance. If you have a friendship, it has to be reciprocated. If you're giving 100%, you have to give some sort of percentage back in that friendship. Because if you don't have that, that's not a friendship. It's like an ATM machine. You've got to deposit so you can withdraw. And at some point, which I hope you don't, you withdraw too much, now you have no money. You have no friends, you have no everything. I mean, it just clicked. I didn't have balance in my relationship with my wife at the time, going through that divorce, and a lot of it was my fault too. Communication, just not sharing what you're supposed to share. You're supposed to share the great times, you're supposed to share the bad times, and one person is not supposed to shoulder everything. Nobody's perfect, but it should be a balance, and a relationship is not 50-50. It is 100-100 if things are going to work, because when you're down, they have to be able to carry you. When you're up and they're down, it's vice versa. You can see now that I started to change. I started to change completely. This picture is in a local fish store in New Jersey called Fish Hut of New Jersey. And that was the first time that I actually seen my sister in person in almost 9 years. I had detached from her because it didn't make my wife happy to see my family. Nothing against her. I was the one that agreed to that. That is my brother. I know he doesn't look like my brother. He's got a different father. But that is also my niece. I was living in this new zone my own self. And that's the first day at CJUS on March 1st, 2020, right before the thing happened. I don't want to even say it. But I was just going with life. I didn't have a relationship at this time, but I was starting to get real friendships back, a balance. And little did I know that my work life was going to become in balance as well. And that's my face promoting a competitor's product from an old YouTube video at SIPS 2019. It's a very large show in China. I've never been, but my face was. My buddy Andrew Sensky, who owns a company called ADG, sent this to me. And he said, on the other side, you do still make an impact, even if you don't see it. I would have never known. So March 2020, everything. I had a new relationship, I had some good friendships, and then I fell out of my freaking attic. Busted up my leg, tore all the ligaments in my foot, and was stuck in home because of the C word. And I'm not going to use that word. But I was still able to live in my passion. I was still able to create aquariums. I was still able to do what I loved. But there was one thing that changed when I fell out of the attic. The person I'm in a relationship still with to this day said, "You're going to let this derail you again? Because you're not going to be able to do the things that you enjoy doing." But I looked at it as a way to improve on other things in my life that I couldn't get to. Because now I was stuck in my butt because I couldn't walk. That picture of me up on the top right, I'm with CJ. It's the first time I'm in Reef Builder Studio. It's the first time I met Jake Adams. And it's the first time I'm launching a product in the US. Has anybody met Jake Adams prior to? He's an asshole. He really was, and I mean that in a good way, because he wouldn't sugarcoat a damn thing. If he didn't like you, he didn't like a product, you knew it. If you wanted respect out of Jake, you had to be an honest, truthful individual with no flaws. And I sure as hoped that that product worked when we were about to do it together for the first time using Pump Clean from CJ, and it worked. I felt great. I felt like I had reached a new level. I had gained this trust from somebody who was very revered in the marine side of the industry, and he was just cool as shit, but he couldn't say that he liked the product. He had to say that he would use muriatic acid because that's what he can get his hands on. But not everybody has access to that stuff. So it was a defining moment for me because everybody said, "Good luck. It's going to bomb. It's going to catch on fire, and you're never going to come back from that." I just went in being authentically me. That was what I did, and it was successful for what it was. Then I started a marine tank. Yeah, I know it's not the coolest marine tank, but that was my first run at a marine tank. I plumbed it, I drilled it, I did everything. I custom built everything so that I could understand how it truly worked, and that I could talk to customers in my new job about how these products truthfully worked. And then down at the bottom right, I'm with my current boss, Steve. Coralfish 12G, I don't know if anybody knows George Mavarakis, but I was at Interzoo. So from a guy that was completely distraught, didn't know where I was going in life, everything was supposed to be amazing, it wasn't. I'm now living in this just passionate, purposeful, driven, freaking life. And now I'm in Germany talking to, it's actually the first time I met ALF, I met Sean. I met distributors from Spain who was, "Oh, I used to watch your videos, man, you were so impactful to me." And I'm like, holy shit. It's all coming full circle. And that moment I realized, even if you don't believe you're supposed to be where you're at, you were designed to be there whether you like it or not. Whether it's a good part or it's a bad part. That picture at the top is me 2 years ago getting an opportunity to design my own fish room in my own house that I liked, that I helped together with somebody else so that I wasn't burnt out and detached from everything, build. Now I can't show you any finished product because it's a fish room, so it's never finished, but you can find other things. But I was learning a heck of a lot more as I moved through this phase to where I'm standing today. Sometimes you have to be your own superhero. Doesn't matter how stupid you look. Clearly, I had to be Gecko. Those are the PJ masks. That's my son and my niece. And that was the first time, my son was, this was last year. This is the first time that my son had ever met his grandma. No reason other than I was not in a space, and I thought it was okay because we were making other people in the world happy. Picture on the top right is from a very, very famous aquarium designer in California. If you ever get a chance to look at it, it's Infinity Aquarium Design. He approached me. I think they're like a $150 million a year company. And he told me right before this photo was taken, I go to your Instagram page to disconnect from problems in life. What the fuck That's why I was still stupid, Ian. Amazing to hear that. And then that's the first time I was in the UK. I had got an opportunity to go to Cracking Corals, and this was last October. And the trip here actually changed me even more and drove me deeper into a passion, because I realized something that I believe that we always get wrong. You never give up on something you can't go a day without thinking about. And it's true. Why would you give up something that every day you thought about? Good things. And I realized that when I was standing here in October of last year, that life has 3 parts in order to be extremely as close to happy or blissful, to be living in passion, to be living in purpose. You have 3 parts. You have to have a balanced relationship with the person you're doing life with. You have to have balanced relationships with your friends. And another piece is you also have to have balance in what you are doing to make a living. That doesn't mean you're grinding it out 100 hours a week to get nowhere, to only be back in the same state. All 3 of those things have to be somewhat in order for you to be okay in life. And the biggest piece that I missed was work. I always dove so deep to be the yes person, to change the way I was, so that other people were okay and I was happy because I was doing what made them happy. But I can tell you, regardless of how this may come off, I worked for a company who lets me be me. They don't clip my wings, they don't tell me what to do. And I'll tell you, I never thought that in 2011 I would ever find that piece again. And that was actually the major piece that was missing, because everybody used to say you need a work-life balance. But they don't talk about how you need community, and you need love, and you need reciprocation, and you need to be comfortable with yourself, no matter what anybody says. So I made this stupid post the other day, but I added it because I guess I thought I needed a hero, but I just needed to be the doofy fish guy. So the moral of this is, if you have a passion, stick with it regardless. You'll go through some shit in life. Life is never going to be perfect. But I want you to think of a time right now where you said, I'm not going to get through this. It's the hardest thing I'm going through. I'm never, ever going to get through this. I want you to think about that time. Because now you're sitting here through that time, and you're going to get to another time, and you're going to say the same damn thing. Instead of just navigating in a way that you can focus on what it is you're passionate about, and allow your purpose to be there with balance in life, and you won't have to deal with a derailment in life, an abundance of stress, because you are focused in on perception, making everyone happy, making your work always happy, always achieving the highest goals, because you're not going to do it. You're never going to be able to do all those things. So the best thing to do is, Jordy, what is it? I'm me. Oh, yeah. Just be yourself. If you want to be a goofy fish guy, be a goofy fish guy. Just be that person. But standing here today in front of you, showing you some things throughout my life, it's actually very uncomfortable. But I'm learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. So if you ever get a chance, check out YouTube from the past to now. It's J-A-Y Wilson. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. You can get in contact with me if you ever just want to chat. I pretty much respond at all hours of the night. I still don't sleep. I should do that, but again, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.